He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of fair Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the show that flies again. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And don't mind me, I'm just a frail old woman crossing the street, and it was me the whole time, the co-host, Niall McGowan.
Oh my God, you gave me a heart attack. Gee. Anyway, we are joined by two very, very special guests. Who should go first? I don't know. Phil.
Hey, it's me.
I'm Phil.
No, I'm Connor. How's it going?
Yeah, there we go.
All the way from Australia. You can tell by my accent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, very Australian.
Fair
Yes.
dinkum.
But yeah.
No. I'm actually Phil. We're not going to, have any hidden identities here. But hey, I used to be in a Movies by Minutes podcast. I used to be in Bat Minute 89, 92. Now we're here in 95 with the Joel Schumacher films. How's it going? I was on the Matrix Minute. Was one of the co-hosts. But now we have another podcast. It's called Twofold, and that's about it. Hi, how's it going? I like movies.
Hey.
I was also on the Matrix Minute, but that's not my show.
That's right. I remember.
Talking about costumes, which is my thing. Might bring up some costumes this time around. I'm Connor Coulson from Prometheus-by-Minute.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome. You're a newcomer to our show.
Yes, well, I've had Niall on Prometheus.
That's right, yeah. You got to bypass all that Burton quality to jump straight into nothing but Joel Schumacher territory.
Yeah,
Yes.
I apologize.
What have you done?
This is my plan all along.
I mean, at least you said you're into costumes. There's a lot of good costumes in the Schumacher movies.
There are. And
Honestly,
so this is
yeah.
95, you said, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, so I was 3.
Oh. So take it your history with the movie is not you weren't part of the hype train when it came out anyway.
Well, funny you should ask, because I had for the longest time this Riddler keychain, which came from, I think, Burger King, although we call it Hungry Jack's here. Long, hilarious story
That's
about
right.
legalities. But yeah, I had that from a, I guess you could call, quote-unquote, Happy Meal.
Oh.
And I don't have it anymore. It's
Hey.
holographic, and it was the Riddler on top of a building, and it was great.
This is minute 49 somehow. And the minute starts with a brooding boy and it ends with an explosive granny.
Does it start with a brooding boy?
An explosive
Quote-unquote
granny.
boy.
What?
Allegedly, it starts with a brooding boy.
You're saying you're a costume guy, Connor. Like, as was Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
He used to be a costume designer back in the day. What do you think of Chris O'Donnell's knitwear here within this first 10 seconds that we see him?
Really see it that well.
Yeah, what do you think?
Although his costumes overall, I quite liked. I especially liked his bad boy leather jacket outfit with the helmet and the goggles. That was cool.
Sure.
I actually like the jumper as well. I think it's nice. Sorry, the sweater for our American listeners. I have to be correct.
The sweater.
But is this to show that he's already sort of turning into Batman? Because we know Batman likes his knitwear.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Yeah,
as long as it's not a turtleneck.
Yeah, the turtlenecks.
That the shadow makes it look almost like a turtleneck.
Yeah, well.
It's just every time he
right.
walks past Alfred with like a pair of blue jeans on, Alfred comes over and tucks his jumper into the jeans. It's like,
Tuck it in, sir.
that's the way we do it in this house, Master Dick.
There are standards to maintain.
Oh man, it's so great hearing you guys talk about this live because people who listen to this show, and I am definitely one of those people who do. So it's really nice to hear you guys back again. I mean, I've been on this show for like all the seasons, which is amazing.
Hell yeah.
And anyway, just wanted to throw in some compliments there.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You always bring the compliments, and we leave them in.
I do. That's good. You should.
I will say, like, there's one nice thing, because we're just gonna get the tail end of Alfred and Dick's conversation here, but there's a little note from the novelization that I liked. I like the way they put it in that, because we were talking last week, like, Alfred's journey throughout these films has been so strange in that in 89, like, he abhorred the idea of Batman. Like, he was always like, I have no wish to spend my remaining years mourning the loss of old friends and their sons and all that kind of stuff. And then the second one, like, in the first movie, he was so determined to get Bruce and Vicky together. Second one, he seemed to kind of not really like Selina Kyle, and he was just sort of complacent about everything. This one, he's actively trying to get friggin' Dick Grayson to become
Is this
Batman.
Peter David?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the Peter David.
Yes. I used to be on a podcast called The Book Was Better, which is no longer hosted, sadly. But, we reviewed novelizations and the weird and wonderful worlds. And, Peter David and Alan Dean Foster were definitely the guys who rose to the top in terms of just prominence, the sheer amount of work they put out. And
Dude, really?
their sheer arrogance, especially Alan Dean Foster. So my note on this movie and novelization was that he doesn't want them to, I don't know, all the dialogue, I guess, he doesn't want it to be so intentional, I guess. So in the case of Nicole Kidman's character, Chase Meridian, her narration is just like, oh my god, did I say that out loud? Oh my god, that's so... What has gone into it? So embarrassing. So he's trying to distance him, because the rules, I guess, it's not law, but the rules for novelization are you cannot change the dialogue. You can change everything else, but you cannot change the dialogue, and you can see him wrestling with it.
Yeah.
I will say, I love this movie. It is great fun. I've watched it many times for movie nights. Always a good time. I love the bromance / let's just say full-on romance between Two-Face and Riddler. I'm normally a Penguin Riddler shipper, but, you know. And, yeah.
That's a good Penguin Riddler. Piddler. That's a good ship.
Piddler, yeah. Thank you, Gotham.
Well, that's something.
Or what was the other one? There was, Nig Mobblepot is what some people in AO3 chose, and that hurts. It hurts me deep down.
Nig Mobblepot?
Mouthful. But you get about 90 minutes into this movie and you just go, oh, there's still more. Oh no. Oh dear.
For better or worse, there's still more.
Because normally everyone is quite drunk by that point and everyone's rowdy and making jokes. Mm-hmm. When you're sitting by yourself with some green tea, it's just not the same.
Have any of us here watched this movie since childhood sober? I think I'm always drunk.
You have
Guys, am I the only one who hasn't then?
Missing out.
You are missing out.
I guess I am.
And the next movie especially, you've got to be on some hardcore hallucinogenics.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, that's going to be too intense, I think. I have to be on that one as the Bane expert, resident Bane expert. I think I have to be. Even though he's not really Bane, I will have to. Yeah.
There has been no accurate on-screen portrayals of Bane as yet. Like, he just seems to be like a character no one can nail. But
what are you talking about?
I mean,
they got close.
What are you
Tom Hardy
about?
got close.
Of course.
He's adorable.
Doesn't the animated one...
cuddly.
The animated one's not bad. The animated Bane from
the animated universe. Oh, don't get me started. The animated Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, clearly old school fans, no real reverence for the newer stuff. Like 1992, Batman the Animated Series starts, and Nightfall's being published at the same time. So Warner Bros. Is like, please use this character. And they're like, who the f*** is this? So yeah, no, there's... It's almost like Sam Raimi doesn't care about Venom. Because same thing.
Yeah.
Too new.
Yeah, and he was told to put Venom in, basically. So
it's for the 90s kids only. Only 90s kids will understand. Speaking of 90s kids things, Robin, Dick Grayson, has an earring. And
Oh, yeah.
oh boy,
Right.
I know
Yeah,
so
man.
many guys who went through that phase, including my youngest brother, who I will publicly shame. He went through like this Korean boy band look phase. Whew.
That was all the rage.
Was he just going around with like a wind machine to blow his shirt open every couple of minutes or what?
His
yeah.
hair, he would spend hours on it. He had to straighten the front, and then it was like spiked up at the back, like he was trying to go Super Saiyan. And yeah, he
Great.
begged Mum for an earring. She went, what is this, 1996? No, Dylan, no. And he just went and did it anyway. And he doesn't wear it anymore. Funny enough.
Oh.
Funny
we need to
that-
bring this look back. Because we've brought this up with quite a few guests, but, you know, we have to bring it up with everybody. Back in the 90s, this was a sexy look.
Yeah, I mean, the 90s
know.
are in fact back. We've got, like, you know, the cyberpunk Y2K aesthetic going on. I'm seeing kids dressed the way I did when I was a kid. It's scary.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So in a way, the resurrection of the Matrix coming back for another movie makes sense.
That's what I was going to say, right?
yeah.
Because I'm here from the Matrix Minute, which is a good show. You should probably check it out.
Hell yeah.
It's, yeah, I mean, like, we have all these movies from the 90s being remade now, and yeah, the 90s are pretty much back, and I was considering getting an earring. Isn't that something?
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, do it.
Maybe I
It
am.
would suit your
I
whole
don't know.
look.
Maybe.
Yeah, I almost had
maybe.
to do a double check. I was like, hang on, don't you have an earring? That's what you did.
I thought you did as well.
Really?
It goes with your
Wow.
kind of swashbuckly look, I guess.
My
I was going to say,
swashbuckly look.
yeah, it would be very piratey, I think. If
Yeah.
That's right.
You
Very
got the
piratey.
hair. Just commit.
Yeah.
Just commit. Yep. I mean, you know, it's happening. The style is coming back, so I guess I have to go with it.
That earring you like is coming back in style.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I'm 1-1. Now it's like, hey, now it's okay. It's good.
I know, it's so weird.
But,
We could just get tattoos and piercings and stuff, and no one could stop us. Not even our moms.
Not even our moms.
No.
I think 10 years from now, you're like, our moms were right. We shouldn't have done this. It's a terrible idea.
Well, actually, the minute itself as well here. So Alfred is
yeah, we're doing
convincing
it.
Dick that he's going to be A-OK. And
Yes.
he says to him, "You'll fly again, I promise." Which is a line I genuinely loved. I adored it. But just listening to this, like, as a minute, forgetting the context of the previous scene, I had to listen to it about 6 times to figure out what the hell he was saying.
Really?
I couldn't work it out.
But he, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. He does say, "Robin will fly again. I promise."
Yes,
Right?
yeah. So he's already gave him his name, basically, based on the helmet.
Yeah, the helmet.
Well, that was the thing from the novelization of, like, I really like the way Peter David phrased this at Alfred leaving the room, because he says it was rather remarkable for Alfred. He had seen the same air of frustration hanging over Bruce Wayne mere minutes before, hovering like a dark cloud. It gave him some hope for what Dick Grayson might become. It also gave him some fear. And it's like, we've got to talk about this Alfred's journey of, like, is he supporting Bruce? Is he condemning him? But in this movie, it's kind of like, it almost seems within this scene that he's already like, I'm going to hook you up with Batman, kid. And you're going to become a superhero. Just you watch me work my Alfred magic.
In
Maybe
the
he's-
recent Tom King Batman comics, they're just called Batman. It's very confusing. I can't remember the numbers, but there was like the whole City of Bane thing. Anyway, Alfred in that, it's actually quite beautifully written. He has this, I think it's like a journal or a letter or something, and he's talking about how he made this vow as a child, and that seemed to be the only thing that got you through it, and so he does support Bruce being Batman because it seems to be the only thing that not brings him happiness, but sort of gives him purpose, and yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, reluctant acceptance, maybe.
Yeah, just sort of,
But he-
well, I guess this is working. I don't approve, but it's working.
But he is actively pushing Dick into this, you're right. And,
Yeah. This is a cult now. How many people do you need to have a cult? How many numbers do we need?
a
Just two?
minimum of like 4 or 5, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of Robins.
And Dick seems to be taking in what Alfred's saying to him, because I actually like
Look
his
at
acting
that-
here.
yeah,
He's got a
that
small,
stare.
subtle reaction. Like, he needed to hear this.
Well, the whole helmet thing, and then it's called Robin because blah, blah, blah. That whole over-explaining things is so... I don't know. it's a trope in endemic. Was that the word? Yeah, endemic. To 90s superhero movies. We have to explain why I'm actually amazed that in X-Men they didn't go, his name is Magneto. Why? Well, you see, so magnets, they just go with silly names and go with the silly costumes. I mean, you open this movie with a bat butt right up in my face, and now you have to but he's called Robin because, no, so it could just be a code name, like James Bond. You don't have to hold my hand.
Yeah.
Did they ever try and explain, I don't remember, Wolverine's name? Were they like, when he got his claws out and started slashing people, like, oh, just like a Wolverine?
I think that what I liked about, and we're talking about X-Men now, but like what I liked about the first X-Men was that at least what happened was when you first saw Wolverine, he was in a cage match with some other guy, you know, they were just punching each other, and that was kind of like his stage name, and I think that was enough for you to get just to have that, established as the character. It's like the Wolverine, and then you're like, oh, I get it. It's a stage name, but then again, later on, you see the dog tags and everything. But even when that happens, I think you just sort of accepted it by now, and it's fine. No one really questions it.
For some reason, it's okay. Yeah.
Wolverine's a character that they need to stop giving names to, though, because it's like first you knew him as Wolverine, then you knew him as Logan. And then we had to give him the name James Howlett for some reason.
James Howlett.
That's like I thought he was called Logan. Where the hell's Logan coming from?
Wait,
he's
where
called
did
James
that come
Howlett.
from?
Well, he had the
What movie is that one in?
amnesias, and then he had to make a new name, and yeah, it happens when you live a long time.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, now we do get I think we finally get over this hump of the re-edit of the shuffling around of scenes, because this upcoming bit, this big action beat with the Batman versus Two-Face, this is invented entirely for the film, like at the last minute, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because
Really?
the original edit was, and I think they changed it because they wanted an action scene earlier in the movie. But originally the film was supposed to have Two-Face escapes from Arkham. You cut to Wayne Tech, where Bruce Wayne meets Edward Nygma. Then the bat signal goes, Bruce Wayne goes and fights Two-Face there. All that stuff happens. The circus stuff gets underway and whatnot. Then when Bruce goes to the bat signal, at this point, this is supposed to be him meeting Chase Meridian, which happened way earlier in the finished movie. So at that point, they were like, oh, Bruce has gone to the bat signal, but we don't have a scene there, so I guess we just have to make something up. And then the commentary, Joel Schumacher's just like, yeah, I just kind of made this up. Just wanted the fun. I guess it's good for them, because it's like, oh, we got 2 action scenes now. We originally only had 1, but now we can throw in, plus we spent an absolute ton of money making that Batmobile. Let's use it for something. Because if you don't have this upcoming scene, what was the point of making a whole new Batmobile? It would barely have featured in the film.
This scene does stick to what I was saying, Niall, about the Batmobile being interestingly made, because you see this thing wobbling its rear end all over the place. It looks cheap.
Jonathan, no. This is a work of art.
I think it looks better on the page.
I mean, you do see the original sketches for it made it look like it was supposed to be more solid and whatnot. There was less sort of this one has the fins sort of drastically sticking out, but they seem to be more melded to the body of the car in the original designs and whatnot. But I don't mind the wobble. I'm happy with it. It's
you like a nice bit of wobble in the back end.
So no, you're pro Batmobile, Phil. Connor,
yeah, Niall.
Yeah, you had my back on the page, on the listening page.
That's right, I did. I posted it once I heard what you guys were talking about. I'm like, no, this is beautiful. I love this thing. I remember how, honestly, like when I was 6, this is when the movie came out. Then they had that whole marketing blitz going on. They had McDonald's, they had those cups that everyone's talking about all the time, and they had toys, and all those toys. Like I can still remember the wonderful, like the branding that they used with the Batman symbol and the question mark and the blue and the green, and it still brings in emotions of like, oh, it's like so nice and green and black and like those colors.
I remember that.
The marketing for this film was incredible. Like it was just like just having that as a thing to go with the Riddler's question marks. This is like, oh, that's a marketing gift. Like you can slap that on anything, and it's
Seriously,
just like it looked fantastic. Like way better than like couple years later, you got Batman and Robin. They're like, we put the Robin symbol in front of the Bat symbol. Maybe put some ice around it. I don't know. It's like,
Put some red. Like, what's that red all about? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was green and blue, and it was beautiful. I still remember that stuff. And then I also remembered they obviously had a toy Batmobile, and I just loved how it looked like, because compared to now, I love the '89 one.
Yeah, be careful.
I love the '89. I love the '89 Batmobile. It's a solid design. But the thing that they did here is I feel like they just made it more intricate. They gave it more moving parts that you can see underneath it. It had like that rib cage. It had like lights underneath, and it just to me, it always felt like they made it feel, and this is going to sound so strange comparing, this and '89, but they made this one feel like it was more complex and realistic in a way.
No. Well, complex, but not realistic. Come on, look at it. Look at that thing.
What do you mean? Look, the flopping is the only thing that. I mean, look, Jonathan, I'm gonna probably agree with. Not Jonathan. Sorry, Niall. My bad. Niall, I'm gonna agree that I'm not gonna probably agree with you that.
What are you saying?
The fin. Okay, I'm saying the fin is a little floppy. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. It's for the design, the design.
All right.
It looks aggressive, and it looks like it's going to run over old ladies.
All right.
Well,
so in the
this
opposing corner, this looks like it's from friggin' Warner Brothers Movie World with its janky ass wobbling fiberglass on the top.
Yeah.
What is this? It
What are you
looks like it's a
talking
big
about,
old
man?
penis. They obviously went to Giga. They didn't give him the penis design he wanted, so Schumacher was like, I'm gonna make the biggest bat penis that is ribbed and just wobbling all over the place with its fiberglass penisness, and yes.
Okay. While we're on this topic, did you guys ever talk about those H.R. Giger sketches?
No, we can talk about that now, actually. That's why I assumed you would be pro this Batmobile, Connor, because you're doing Prometheus-by-Minute. You presumably like the work of H.R. Giger.
Oh, I see.
This is so Giger-esque.
Yes, I see. So if I like Alien, then anything that is related to Alien, I just must like it.
100%. Yes, that is the cultural stereotype you now have to buy.
That's this cultural stereotype. Yep.
Okay, so I've been thinking about why does this not work? Because there's a design. It's beautiful. I love Giger's art. Technically, it is very well executed as an illustration. And then I was watching a video today about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, and it hit me why it doesn't work. So Julie Taymor, fantastic director. She's directed a lot of Shakespeare plays and movie adaptations that I love. But she doesn't understand Spider-Man. She is not a comic book fan. She doesn't understand why that character resonates with people. So instead of a story about an average man that everyone can relate to with very relatable issues and, a character who's very much motivated with great power comes great responsibility, he's burdened with that guilt of not saving Uncle Ben. Instead, she's like, nah, it's about Greek myths and Greek gods fucking with your life. Oh, really, Julie? Thanks. Doesn't make any sense. And it's the same thing with H.R. Giger, where he's like, so we have to make a Batmobile. So what if it is like a DNA strand, and then it has like fangs that come out the front? And like, okay, I see where you're going. Not a literal Batmobile. It is. Never mind. He's never read a Batman comic.
DNA strand that I'm going to make, it's a very different kind of Batmobile.
We'll say for listeners who haven't seen that, I'll post the sketches in the listeners page.
Yeah,
but
it's totally different from the one that we have now.
Yeah, it's basically it's like a DNA helix, but it's more of an X.
It looks like something out of Prometheus.
It looks this Batmobile looks biomechanical, but it also looks like, is it supposed to be like the inner? It looks like part of a nerve system or something. It looks wildly impractical as well. It's like you could never drive that.
It looks like a spaceship. It does not look like an Earth vehicle. It's very much engineers drive that, not Batman. And that's another thing, and this relates to costume design as well, is It would be like me never heard of Batman, but someone tells me, okay, make a Batman costume, and I come up with something like Batman from The Tick. Technically, I have fulfilled your outline, but it's not reflective of that character, and that's exactly the problem with this vehicle. Is I'm expecting an alien to come out of it.
You talking about the final one or the one from the sketch?
The Giga one. And then
the Giga one.
the
Giga.
The Giga one, like, it reminded me, because I was trying to, like, well, what's he going for here? Like, in some ways, I thought it almost looked like a flayed man. Like, it's kind of like someone's been strung up.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
And has been flayed. But it's like, is that some sort of comment on Batman dedicating himself to, like, a life of torture by taking on this burden and whatnot?
Wow, that's going in deep.
But I don't know if that's what Giger was going for. He might have been like, no, it looks like the X chromosome, because that is what the women have more X chromosomes, and I was making a comment. I was like, I don't know what you're going for here, HR man. I think you might. But like, imagine Joel Schumacher, but like, I think he did see it. It was just like, no. I also love the fact on this actual sketches, like, you're talking about maybe that H.R. Giger doesn't know much about Batman. He does call
That's
it.
what I was gonna say.
He calls it like the Batman Mobile.
Yes.
Like, he's just like, I've never heard of this thing before.
Yeah,
So it's like the
it's absolutely
Batman Mobile.
of not connecting with the source material at all.
It's weird though, because I like the Giga one on the page. I think it's better artistically than the finished product.
Why?
I think it's more interesting and more intricate and strange. But at the same time, I wouldn't want it in the movie, if that makes sense. Like, I enjoy looking at it
aesthetically,
more,
just
but don't put it in the film.
Yeah, as its own thing. Yeah. Ooh, now I don't know where I stand, because I feel like if you remove both of them from their context, they're both kind of fun, but to be put in that context, I don't think either of them works.
What do you mean?
'Cause this one that we end up with, it's Giga Light.
Yeah.
It's
That's what
kind of like someone copying him.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's what it is, essentially.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that when someone said, when I heard the rumors of like, H.R. Giger helped design the Batmobile, I thought that was exactly what H.R. Giger designed.
Yeah, and that's what
At the
you would
beginning,
expect,
initially.
yeah. It's a big old
That's
penis.
what I would expect, and it's a penis. But it's honestly, like, I still don't see why there's so much disgust towards this. I mean, okay, the phallic imagery aside, it's
That's
just
what I like
it's
about it. What are you talking
cool.
about?
Look
I
how
think
cool! Look
it's
how
cool,
it
but I
is.
think there's two problems for me. Right? It's cool in the way I thought it was when I was like, I don't know, 8. Things were cool. They were radical.
It's very
like,
90s
yeah,
aesthetic.
crazy.
It's very much the kind of
It's
toys
90s.
we were marketed around the time of, Godzilla and Phantom
know,
Menace,
man.
and
I don't know, like for
yeah.
me, that's what you're talking about with Batman and Robin. Those are the Batmobiles from there that are kind of like the
yeah,
90s, right, Niall?
Yeah. See,
Back me up,
I will
man.
agree.
I absolutely hate the Batman and Robin Batmobile, but I still love this thing. I still think it just looks great to me. It's like I love the
And there's that
flamboyance
gothic,
of the
there's that gothic
fins.
feel in it too.
There is.
I'd
accept 2 changes.
Yeah, Batman and Robin one makes
They
me
need
feel
it.
Tell me.
weird. I don't. Oh, what is?
They need this to be better made, as in, it's the wobbling, right?
It is the
looks
wobbling.
No,
It's
yeah,
not.
okay.
It's not. There's not enough substance to it. I think that's what.
Yes.
When I see it in motion, again, Warner Brothers movie world, where you got Batman doing the midday parade, and it's all just janky fiberglass stuck onto probably a Mazda.
That's the problem. That's the main issue,
Yeah.
I think, because, and also that ties into my other problem is it seems impractical for Batman to have. Why is it that big? He doesn't need a fin like that. Batman's
Okay.
kind of he's more about practical uses.
I think it looks more like a shark fin.
I'm
as
saying
well.
that, and he has a
I can see you
batarang.
guys are looking at it on a functional perspective here, and I completely agree. I mean, this movie is very
Impractical.
Caligari-esque,
Yeah,
but it's also, but it also has some. Like you guys said in one of the older episodes that I listened to just not too long ago, has one foot in like trying to be Tim Burton kind of more grounded, and then on another foot, it's being a lot more zany and crazy and illogical, right?
Yeah,
That's a good question. Which one of these movies is more Caligari-esque? Because, of course, Tim Burton's all about German expressionism.
Ah, you're right.
Yeah, all of them really have a little bit of that going on, and I wish we would have more movies like this. You know, say what you will about these ridiculous designs. I'm kind of bored of that, you know, Marvel, even Star Wars formula of fairly grounded, realistic. There's nothing stylized. There's nothing artsy or abstract.
Yeah.
It's just, this is literally how this thing would look in real life. But I don't want it to look that way.
I have a fear that that's what Matt Reeves is going to be doing as well. Like, you see the next Batmobile is going to literally be like, he's got like a Vauxhall, but he's stuck a fin on the top of it or something.
A Ford Cortina.
Yeah, it's a Jeep, he painted black. There you go.
I think my other issue is it's a shark. It's more like a shark fin to me. Bats don't have a singular fin on their back, so because there's 2 fins on the side. So it's just like, what's the third one doing? Fin. It's like a third leg, you know. You don't need it.
Well, I can get into the exact thought process of the designers of this, because obviously when Giger, I don't know, maybe passed or he was fired or whatever, but like when they parted ways, they gave it to another team of designers headed by a guy called Tim Flattery. And basically, apparently, Marco was like, "Oh, it looks like it's rushed and stuff." Apparently, there's like 800 hours of work went into creating this Batmobile.
Oof. It's shit. Doing
Well done.
But the thing is, apparently, you get little videos on YouTube that are pretty good. But like, someone saying like, "Oh yeah," so when we're working on it, Joel was originally inspired by a leather fetish magazine, and which is quite telling for Joel Schumacher. And then like it was great because the other guy with him goes like, "They'll probably cut that part out," and it's like, oh, it's just like whenever every single time in the show, John says like, "Cut this out now." I'm like, not a goddamn chance. It's staying in the show.
I just looked up the original concept art. And it is sexy. I see that they got fixated on that fin, and it just doesn't work in 3 dimensions. I think the rest of it looks great. The Tim Flattery design, I think, looks great. And the wings on the back wheels is a great look. And I don't think the 89 didn't really... It was a little bit more abstract.
Yeah.
We've said all we could say about it, really.
My favorite detail about it in this scene is I noticed the speedometer goes over 300 miles an hour. So I looked it up. I went to a couple of websites. There was one, Geeky Tyrant and NetQuote, and they had infographics about the various vehicles. And this Batmobile has a very specific top speed of 329 miles per hour.
Very specific.
Very specific. And the thing I loved about it is the Burton Batmobile, its top speed is 330. It's one better, baby.
Well, I mean, it's definitely that fin that's causing all that
lag.
wind resistance. Yeah,
It's a big load of drag.
I
there,
honestly... I think just removing that would make a whole lot of difference. It wouldn't be so bad.
but it looks kind of...
I just make it smaller.
Then it looks like it's kind of bald, doesn't it? Like if you take it off.
Hey, what's wrong with being bald?
Oh, you long hairs coming in here
What
with
have I
all your
done?
follicles showing up.
The
Take
dandruff.
your picture.
Pick them up.
But I will say though, in the actual beyond the leather fetish stuff, what they were actually thinking when they were designing it beyond it being Giger-esque, because obviously they approached Giger, so they wanted something Giger-esque in the end. Yeah, but apparently in the end, it's based on 2 specific things: deep sea creatures, because things that are naturally bioluminescent, so that's why it's got a glowing interior and whatnot.
I like it too. That's one of my favorite pieces of design on that one.
And apparently, it's also based on a spread out bat. Like they're saying, like, yeah, if you were to take a bat and spread out its wings and then shine a torch through it, you'd be able to see its skeletal structure and whatnot because the flesh is so thin. And that was the mentality behind.
I like this. I like this.
And yeah, it's one of those things though, because like, I'm not too sure why Batman himself will want to show people like, unless he's just really like, look at my engine, like look how fancy everything inside the car is. I just don't know why he specifically would be like, oh yes, I want to show people this glowing interior to my car. But
It's not very discreet.
Oh, that was actually, speaking of lighting and stuff, it is actually something I had in my notes in how Batman is just so versatile and tonally, visually, he has become so many different things, especially when you compare him to, say, Wonder Woman and Superman, who are kind of always the same thing. Even Man of Steel, as strange and different as that is, it's not really that different in a lot of ways. Yeah. And this film and this minute even is so... A lot of the storytelling is through lighting, which I noticed and had a lot of fun picking out in different scenes. So in this one, he's driving along and suddenly everything gets quite red and sort of pinkish and all that. It's like, oh, Two-Face is coming. And then obviously the Riddler, a lot of that lighting is green. And with Bruce Wayne, it's a lot of neutral tones, it's taupes and beiges, and then, well, of course, with Batman, it's all very dark, it's lots of blue, and I can't think of too many other films like that. I can think of a lot of theatre productions that do that, and that, again, I want more of that heightened quality in cinema, and we've lost that of late.
No, I didn't think of this, Connor. That's actually a really interesting observation you had with this, because like that's, I mean, it has some reason. Like that is fantastic. And you know what's the funniest thing? The irony of it all is that we have the technology. We have the technology now to make the craziest things come to life, and yet we go into realism all the time.
Yeah. I mean, the only movie I can think recently-ish that did anything like that with the lighting is, I suppose, at the end of The Force Awakens.
Oh, yes.
Where they're on the bridge. And,
I was actually...
You know,
I watched that recently. I don't know why I didn't... Yes. I don't know who the cinematographer was, but my God, Force Awakens and actually especially The Last Jedi.
I think it was Jen Mandel.
The Last Jedi, like that throne room scene where it's all red. Like, wow, this is that's theater. That's old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More of this, please.
And then, what do you call it? Rise of Skywalker. It goes... There's some scenes that are kind of a little bit more artsy, but generally speaking, J.J. Abrams likes to be more grounded, but he does some fancy things with the lights. I will give him that.
One thing that I would say about, like, while we're still on the Batmobile and stuff, is that... And talking about H.R. Giger, is that because... But he's always about the idea of biomechanical and whatnot, like, you know, the combinations between, like, the alien looks like it's covered in tubes and stuff like that. It's got, like, even in the original, like the Nostromo, like the corridors are very vaginal. It seems to be a real thing, and he's got all this stuff recurring throughout all the movies. You know, Ridley Scott's fascination with androids and things like that.
They essentially built the film around Giger's aesthetic, because initially Dan O'Bannon had this very pulpy, cheesy story, and his initial crude illustrations definitely implied that this is probably going to be, you know, your typical B-grade sci-fi fare. And then they brought on Giger after Dune fell apart, the initial Jodorowsky production, and they kicked him off. Then they got Ridley Scott on as director, and he's like, no, we definitely need Giger. And so it was this kind of circular thing, but essentially, yes, they did build Alien around Giger. And that's why that's another reason why I don't think Giger translates well to Batman, because it is a property that already exists and already has a very distinct aesthetic.
That's what I'm wondering, though, with what Schumacher's going for overall in the design of this, though, because in all the behind-the-scenes stuff, he keeps talking about, like, or Barbara Ling and Tim Flattery keep talking about Joel wanted the Batmobile to look organic. Like, it was, in a sense, biomechanical in itself, much like the Alien and stuff. Mm-hmm. That coupled with, like, details he's adding to the bat suit, where it's, like, more sculpted, like, you know, a Grecian statue, he's got the nipples on, to make it look as if, like, oh yeah, it's Batman's body, like, it's not a costume, like, the nipples are there to emphasize this is that. I'm wondering if he's trying to say, like, yes, because there's a whole bunch of stuff in it, like, you know, he's Batman because he has to be. It's part of his complete being. If it's supposed to be saying through the set design, it's like, yeah, it's melded into Bruce so much that it's not a costume anymore. Like, the car is biomechanical. His suit looks like part of his body. Like, it's so deeply ingrained in him and stuff.
It's a great idea, but it just feels like of all the things to be, thinking of for this film, it really doesn't feel like it meshes very well for the tone that we have.
I think that's the problem. I love the idea, and I would have liked it in like Burton or something, but this is going for a pulpy, silly kind of 60s.
But a lot of it is, though, based around Bruce kind of separating, the repressed memories of the Bruce Wayne psyche and the Batman psyche through his sessions with Chase Meridian and stuff.
Oh yeah, it represents that well, but then it doesn't fit with the silliness.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say it's a
that's the thing. If you were to use that design, if you were to have that costume and have that Batmobile, you would need to completely restructure the film around it. It would be a very different tone visually and just in terms of the story. And I think that would actually work quite well for Batman Beyond. That really super streamlined look wouldn't translate to live action, but that biomechanical thing would, and you would go for this overly intricate thing that doesn't look or doesn't quite look organic, doesn't quite look technological. It's futuristic. Yes, absolutely, do it for Batman Beyond. But for this,
I mean, I'm just saying, there's a lot we've noted throughout the entire season is like there's a lot of good ideas that are apparent in the film. Like there's themes, there's like concepts.
Yeah.
And Joel Schumacher just didn't know how to put them together. Like he's just sort of like, we made this.
Yeah.
But there's good stuff that
it's actually surprisingly better than I expected, because obviously when I normally watch this, it's just good camp fun, you're not really paying attention. But I was surprised actually paying attention, realizing, they've actually put some effort in here. There is an understanding of the characters and all that.
It's just like it's like they made a cake, which was like, we were going to make a really gourmet, like really grand, great cake with the richest chocolates and the finest flour and all this kind of thing. And then they just didn't get the measurements right. So they kind of like, he had all the ingredients there. Yeah. And it's like, well, how do you make a cake? I guess put all this stuff in a bowl and just throw it in the oven. I think that's all you have to do.
Well, while we're on cars, I have some notes about the Two-Face's goons' cars here as well. Because at first I didn't like them. I think they're too plain for Two-Face's gang. I like them as cars themselves, so I looked into them, and they appear to be sort of versions of a 1950s Buick Roadmaster, which has a grill at the front, which was described by Consumer Reports as so toothy that a toothbrush for the dentures comes extra. It does look like a big mouth.
The guy who wrote that was just like, I hope in 50 years' time someone quotes that. I'm so proud of that line.
It's more than 50 years now, Jesus. But it's so unlike any car we get in the UK. It's very American, I think. And the other car in the middle, that's a Dodge W series, and the military used special models of these. You could get flatbeds at the back to put equipment on and stuff like that.
Nice.
So
I know nothing of cars, so...
Well, you're on the wrong show. We're all gearheads, you see. No,
How did I
not.
I watched Top Gear growing up, that's about it.
Yeah.
I know nothing about cars. One pedal makes it go, one makes it stop.
Exactly.
I was noticing, though, the goons themselves, and this is something I've noticed in comics in general, is Bane's costume is basically a henchman's costume. Pretty much every goon has the balaclava, they got the sleeveless vest, it's military-inspired, and again, that kind of communicates a lot about the character, that he doesn't care about that showmanship, whereas all the others, especially Two-Face and Riddler here, it's just how glorious am I as your glorious leader. Yeah.
I mean, Two-Face, we should, within the actual minute, Two-Face, of course, he's pulling the old double cross on Batman here. It comes out, you think it's an old woman with a pram going across the street. And it's revealed to be...
Oh, that old ruse.
I think it's like a friggin'... I think we mentioned Sam Raimi's, Spider-Man earlier. That's a Green Goblin. Does the same damn thing to Spider-Man on that, in the burning building. Spider-Man comes it's an old woman under a shawl. No, it's the Green Goblin the whole time.
At least it doesn't make a chimpanzee sound.
I've definitely seen this in a lot of movies, though. And it actually made me think of the game BioShock. because at the start
yeah.
there's a woman sort of talking to a baby in a pram, and it's dead creepy and weird. And then as you get closer, if I remember rightly, it's not a baby; it's a pistol. So she turns and starts shooting at you with it. It's like, whoa, crap.
But yeah, of course, then we get the. We're talking about things that, like, this will become apparent throughout the rest of the minutes as well. There's a lot of, saying like, oh, this seems like, oh, Sam Raimi, well, maybe he was thinking of Batman Forever when he did that trope, although it is a trope, so it probably wasn't. But then, of course, Two-Face fires a rocket at the Batmobile, because he's not subtle at all as a person, Two-Face. And then the Batmobile apparently has these wheels that entirely rotate like 90 degrees. So he can
Yes, this is a special moment. Yes, I remember this very well. And whenever you think of Batman Forever, in my case, it's usually one of those things comes up, and it's that wheel thing that happens when he backs away.
But the thing is,
you can do that in Arkham Knight.
oh yeah, you can do a lot of the stuff with this
There's
Batmobile.
too much vehicle stuff,
in
but
Arkham Knight. But the thing is, it made me think of is that the same little nifty maneuver is in the Batpod in the Dark Knight. Like when he's during the big truck chase with the Joker. It turns out at one point Batman comes speeding out the side and his wheels have rotated because they're designed to do that.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Remember in that movie, you're like, ooh, that's fancy. And then it's like, oh, what an original idea. And now looking at this, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, I've always thought, wouldn't it be cool if like you could create some kind of ball for a wheel, like a spherical wheel, and then it's got brakes on it to, so you can still apply the brake and things. So I was like, I wonder if anyone's ever done that. They haven't, but someone has made these wheels. These exist. An inventor called William Lydiard.
There are
circular,
like ball wheels, but they're for small things like trolleys and stuff.
Yeah.
Because the problem is it needs to be hollow when it's a larger scale thing.
That's the issue, I think. Yeah, I would like to see it developed some more, but but William Lydiard, the inventor, made these exact wheels. He's created them. You can get them. They can turn exactly like this. He did it for parking.
Does the center of the wheel stay completely static? Like that's the weirdest thing with this Batmobile is that like the center of the wheel never rotates. It's only the tires. It's so weird to me, like why that was a design choice. But
maybe that's necessary for the prop.
Could be. I think actually, upcoming minutes. I
can wrap my head around that better than the Batpod. I cannot wrap my mind around how the Batpod wheels work.
Well, sadly, this guy, he's developed them and stuff, but not much seems to have advanced since his 2016 prototypes, which I think he's just looking for people to take it up. I don't know why they don't. You could park your car so much easier. Come on.
I was wondering if he was watching Batman Forever and he's like, wait a minute, is nobody doing this? What's going on? They come in and say, can I patent that? I can! What the hell? With Joel Schumacher, you're sleeping on this the whole goddamn time.
Yeah, maybe he can't actually do it. He's not an inventor. He just got the patent on it as fast as possible.
He's Alexander Graham Bell this thing. Like, oh yeah, I invented the telephone.
That's the same thing with Star Trek. I think Paramount has tried to sue different people for inventing things that are from Star Trek, but you can't, apparently. Because it wasn't submitted as a patent, it was just a fictional thing. So there's nothing to hold you back.
Good. Let's all invent everything from Star Trek. Let's get a move on right now.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna patent a Iron Man suit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just type that in.
But of course, so then the Two-Face, ends up destroying one of his own henchmen. Like Batman maneuvers out of the way of the rocket. And then goes into one of the cars, and just because
perils of the joke.
I guess this episode's running a bit long, and all the minutes, to be fair, kind of blend together this week because it's all one big action sequence. Shall we save our notes and move on to the next minute? Maybe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, I've still got a lot to say.
The only thing I will say, one last thing. This is a good example of Batman letting people die.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He does a lot of that this week.
He's been guilty for quite some time already.
I'm thinking that's why they had to remove, there was supposed to be this whole recurring thing throughout the original screenplays and whatnot about Bruce's guilt at being a killer, because Two-Face says to him, oh, well, you're a killer, too. And I think they just took it out because, yeah, we do see him, sort of just letting a lot of people die. That's what he's very cool about it. And you can be like, well, I didn't put the rocket launcher in Two-Face's hand. But it's like, well, you did move out of the way. Are you sure you didn't know he was going to hit the other car? Because I'm pretty sure Batman knew he was going to hit that car with the rocket.
Hey, he's not going to kill them. He just doesn't have to save them.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's a perfect example of that nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Niall, we need the riddle.
Yes. I'm sure maybe Phil, you'll know from if you're listening to this season.
Oh, yes, I do.
We pose a riddle to the guests on Monday.
I'm a listener.
See if you can guess it. So riddle me this. I'm light as a feather, yet the strongest person in the world can't hold me for more than 5 minutes. What am I?
Right, I think I know. But I'll let the guests maybe guess.
You mean on the spot? Are you kidding me? I need a whole week for this.
Do you want me to say
my favorite Batman villain as a child, for whatever reason, was the Riddler. You'd think I'd be good. No, not good at this at all.
Do you want to save it till Friday, John? Your guess? Or?
Yeah. It's up to you guys. Do you want me to say my guess? Because it might be wrong.
Sure, do it, because I don't have any idea. It takes me a while.
Okay.
I'm an idiot.
Breath.
Yeah, that's right. That's 100% correct.
Oh! You see? I would never have.
I think that's only the second time I've got it.
Oh, getting better, John. Your mind's getting keener. You're getting more honed into the...
Yeah, good job.
But
well, on that note, we'll...
Actually, the record is, last time I checked, 8 minutes, so...
So Niall is a liar.
I didn't write the riddle. What do you want from me?
Liar!
Oh no, this is turning into Riddle Me Piss on my brother and me.
Well, on that note, we will depart. We'll head off into the dark, dark night. Would you both like to tell our listeners where they can find you and your shows online? We'll go. Connor, you go first with this one.
You can find me on traviandesigns.com, TRAVIAN, where you can find Prometheus-by-Minute, which has just come back. And depending on when the schedules line up, Phil would have returned fairly recently.
Hey.
And you can find all my costumes and other projects there as well.
Nice. So as for me, I do a lot of things, but I think that in relevancy of this podcast, we used to do the Matrix Minute. So that's the Matrix Minute.1. It's an evergreen podcast. You can listen to it anytime. We just go through the Matrix 1 minute at a time, very much like this show. We had Niall on.
Yeah.
Yep. Which sounded like I said nylon. That's weird.
I was about to.
You had nylon stockings on the entire time you were making a joke.
He was a really fun guest, so you should do that. But more importantly, I also do another podcast with my brother and our cousin called Tim. That's our cousin Tim, where we take one new movie and one old movie from the beginning of time to whenever and talk about them. It's just a really nice casual podcast to listen to. It's called Twofold, TWOFOLD, and you just write twofoldpodcast.com. You'll find the site, and I think you'll like it. But who am I to say, right?
No, you will. You will.
Yeah. And we talk about Batman Forever. In one of them.
Hey.
Well, go and listen to all of those, everybody. Come and talk to us on Facebook, Twitter. I'm not even going to read them out. Can't be bothered. Subscribe on Patreon. You get extra stuff, cool episodes, and review us on iTunes. We will see you again on Wednesday for more Bat Minute Forever.
Next time, RPG RIP. Two-Face has a rocket in his pocket. He's not just pleased to see the bat, but his planned projectile paroxysm has fallen particularly flat. This results in vehicular venery, with a villain who chews the scenery. But can the evildoer with the divided visage finally vanquish our valiant vigilante? Find out Wednesday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.